Whiskers, feed their curiosity.
Well, welcome back to Afternoon Express on this Wednesday. It's a hump day and good to be with you on the show. Recently, we had Caron Haynes join us on Afternoon Express, who's an animal behaviorist. And so many questions came flooding into the show, we had to call her back to the loft. So welcome back to Afternoon Express.
Good to be back, thanks.
So I've got so many cool questions, and I couldn't let you go without having to get some of them answered. So we got 2 phone calls asking the same question. It's about relocating your house. Often moving is quite a traumatic thing for families in any case, but for the animals as well, it can be quite a difficult experience. 2 callers called in to say that their dogs won't stop barking in the new house and are starting to get complaints from that. Is it normal for dogs to bark at random when they're in a new environment?
Well, dogs don't understand the logic of moving house. Suddenly you're picking them up and putting them in a completely new space that they feel is just absurd. So when they're left alone in this space, it's like, oh my goodness, mom and dad have left me in a completely just strange environment, and their separation anxiety normally kicks in a bit.
Okay.
So one of the ways that you could get them used to the new place is to, firstly, when you do leave them at home, take them for a walk beforehand so that they can be relieved of some of that stress, walk around the neighborhood, get them used to all the new smells and sounds, and then perhaps leave them with something to get busy with, like a food treat, something to chew on, some food puzzles, and perhaps a few items of clothing that smells like you so that they feel a bit more at home.
Would it be wise to let them indoors to know that you're still around?
If you're home, then let them indoors. If you don't have a problem with their house training, then they can be left alone indoors if they're all good with that.
Stunning. Then I also got a Facebook message I want to show to you. Leader van Os sent us a message to ask why her cat keeps licking her. I think it's such an interesting conversation to have because cats generally do lick people's faces. And what is that about? Is it affection or is it just you think you're dirty?
For the most part, it is affection.
Okay.
Sometimes they do it to groom you. And other times they just think that perhaps your lotion or your perfume tastes good. And look, if it does become a bit of a problem, you can go to the vet and get things checked out, make sure that they're all good. But for the most part, they're just trying to love you.
Exactly. Leader, I wouldn't complain because it feels like a free exfoliation for the other parts of your body that maybe you don't only use for your face or something. So that's awesome. I also got another phone call that was an interesting one because you had to try and bleep out all the correct words and terminologies for national television. But a gentleman phoned in to ask about a dog who he has in his house. And this dog, he's been trying his hardest to ensure that it gets used to defecating in particular zones, but this dog hasn't complied. It just, it's not a very messy animal. How do you go about treating that kind of scenario?
So firstly, you've got to try not to get too frustrated. Shouting at the dog and using any aversive method, it's just going to set you back. You've got to establish a routine, figure out when the pup actually needs to go. So the first way to do that is make sure you're feeding at the same time every day and take away the water at certain times of the evening. And then when you know that this is the time, take them outside, wait for them to do it, and then have a potty party. Just go a bit nuts. Don't go too crazy because you don't want to scare them. But give them some treats afterwards. Let them know that this is the place to be. And if they do make a mistake inside, all you can do really is just clean it up. Make sure you don't use anything with ammonia in it. Vinegar water works really well.
Because they'll smell the ammonia, right? And they'll continue to do in the same spot because that's what they're learning.
Yeah. So rather just take up those carpets if you can. And it's all about management and watching your dog and making sure that they have the space available to them when needed.
Okay, so celebrate them when they do it correctly. At the same time, also don't be aggressive when they don't. Just be very subtly ensure that you try and get that space cleaned up in the best that you can to remove the odors. You're so helpful. Thank you so much. It's good to have this kind of information on the show.
Awesome.
Hopefully to have you back very, very soon. I also say big congratulations to all of you who submitted all of your fur baby pictures on our Facebook page. We loved seeing them, as you can see on screen. And a big congratulations to Ishan Parsad, who's one of our winners, as well as from Port Shepstone, and that was Irshan, and then Katie Sheikh as well. We really appreciate you sending through the photos of your fur babies. They look incredibly cute, and you guys both win yourselves those 2 hampers, one from Pedigree and one from Whiskers. Congrats.